Welcome to the Razors Inc. podcast with your host, Jonathan Farini. If you've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast for any period of time, then you know Jonathan's subjects are usually from the 60s and 70s. So it should come as no surprise that once Jonathan took on a more recent movie, that it would be set in that era. So pour yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and hear Jonathan's take on movies, television, and today, even more than the title, a fairy tale. Here's your host, Jonathan Farini.
I'm recording this podcast in the fall of 2025. The last movie I bought a ticket and sat in a theater to watch was the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I'm Rick Dalton. It's my pleasure, Mr. Schwartz.
Call me Marvin. Put it there. That your son?
No, it's my stunt double, Cliff Booth.
Last night we watched a Rick Dalton double feature. All the shooting. I love that stuff, you know, the killing.
A lot of killing.
Anybody order fried sauerkraut?
Distributed by Sony Pictures and a Chinese company in 2019. I grew up in the 60s and started making films and videos in the 70s, which was a time of marvelous, some say, the greatest wave of new filmmakers in the history of the medium. So, it's hard for me to get excited about films, which explains why the vast majority of my nearly 90 podcasts about film and television don't concern films made much after the 90s. And even the 90s only includes a handful of films. No apologies from me. I attended a noon weekday matinee so I could sit virtually alone in a theater and not listen to irritating chatter, cell phones, and nuisances of inconsiderate audiences. Although I grew up in Los Angeles and was alive during the Manson murders, I knew the history, the neighborhoods, and the city. But the reason I went to see the movie was I heard they cast somebody to play Steve McQueen, and I wanted to see how it looked.
I'm going to tell you a story. She was engaged to him, and she flew to the UK to make a film with him. I broke off her engagement with him and married him. Then they moved to Los Angeles, and the three of them have been inseparable.
Really?
Nice try, but not close. I'll give Tarantino credit for including McQueen and adding the Playboy Mansion as a backdrop. Nice touch. It's impossible to create the one and only Steve McQueen at the top of his game in 1969. We'll undoubtedly see him recreated almost perfectly by AI.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
I speak about casting a great deal in my nearly 90 podcasts, including movies and television. Brad Pitt stole the movie. Hell, he dominated every scene and minimized one of the greatest box office draws in Hollywood, Leonardo DiCaprio. I was embarrassed for Leonardo, really. But having a sense for his payout, reportedly $10 million, I don't feel bad for him. Hell, he got to play opposite Brad.
All right, what's the matter, partner?
It's official, old buddy. Well, it has been.
What are you talking about? What did that guy tell you?
Told me the damn truth is what he told me.
Whoa, whoa. Hey,
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that.
here, put these on. Don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
In my opinion, Leonardo was necessary box office draw for the executive producers, not the Weinsteins, which had previously backed Tarantino's films more later. But playing an actor likely resembling Clint Eastwood leaving TV westerns to reinvent himself in Italy was a challenge for any actor. It was Tarantino's first film not to involve Bob and Harvey Weinstein, as he ended his partnership with the brothers following the sexual abuse allegations against Harvey. It's a co-production between the United States, the United Kingdom, and China, and it showed in not so subtle ways to this viewer. I believe these producers held the budget reins in on Quentin, although Quentin had a sweet deal, including Final Cut, fat royalties and reversion rights. More later.
10 years of treading water and now race to the bottom.
Look, I never had much of a career to speak of, so I can't say I really know how you feel.
What are you talking about? You're my stunt double. Come on now.
Rick, I'm your driver, man. I'm your gopher. I'm not complaining, man. I like driving you around. I like doing around the house sitting in the Hollywood Hills when you're gone. But I haven't been a full-time stuntman for a while now, and from where I'm standing, going to Rome to star in movies does not sound like the fate worse than death that you seem to think it is.
Come on now. You ever seen an Italian Western? Huh? They're awful. It's a farce.
Yeah, how many you seen? 1, 2?
I've seen enough, all right? Nobody likes spaghetti westerns.
Brad knew stuntmen, and it showed, winning him Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Cliff Booth. The Manson girls, boys, were all perfectly cast. I'm a fan of Al Pacino since Panic in Needle Park, but his talents were wasted.
You always play the bad guy on these shows?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and they have a fight scene at the end of them?
Well, not Land of the Giants or FBI, but the rest, yeah.
And you lose in the fight?
Yeah, of course. I'm the heavy.
Oh, that's an old trick pulled by the networks. So you got a new guy like Scott Brown. You want to build up his bona fides, right? So you hire a guy from a canceled show to play the heavy. Then at the end of the show, when they fight, it's hero besting heavy. But what the audience sees is Bingo Martin whipping Jake Cahill's ass. You see? That's going to have a psychological effect on how the audience perceives you.
Right.
Or do you go to Rome and star in westerns and win fights?
A sleazy hustler agent would have been better cast by a less expensive character actor, and providing a big break to an up-and-coming star or an actor's actor who has been waiting for a big break.
Hi, George.
Wait a minute. What's going on?
Everything's all right. I'm sorry to disturb you.
Who are you?
It's Cliff Booth. Just stopped in to say hello and see how you're doing.
John Wilkes? Who?
Cliff Booth.
Who's that?
I used to shoot Bounty Law here, George. I was Rick Dalton's stunt double.
Who?
Rick Dalton.
The Dalton brothers.
No, Rick Dalton.
Who's that?
He was the star of Bounty Law.
And who are you?
I was Rick's stunt double.
It's always nice to see Bruce Dern, but an exploration of the owner of Spahn Ranch and the writing of the blind, incapacitated owner didn't add anything to the script for me. I would have preferred seeing the Tim Roth shots, never making it inside the movie. I'd rather have seen more screen time with Charlie Manson. Quentin could have added more tension by having Cliff have a toss with the Manson girl and finding himself sucked into the clan. Insert your own ideas.
It's 5 o'clock in Los Angeles.
The music and the AM radio stations, for the record, KHJ and KRLA, were spot on. The billboards and the bus stop benches, including a Law and Order TV anchorman, well known at the time, George Putnam, was spot on. See my comments about Putnam in my podcast about Gloria Graham in the movie I Want to Live. It was nice to see a recreation of Westwood in its glory days, replete with the Bruin movie theater. I attended UCLA and knew the neighborhood in its heyday. Check it out today. You can't go home again, folks, when making films about the town you grew up within. Despite Tarantino's intent, the production wound up using more than 75 digital visual effects shots to cover up modern billboards and erasing non-60s buildings from driving shots. It was nice to see him include El Coyote Mexican restaurant I was a frequent customer. Shout out for including the TV show Hullabaloo.
There's an old piano and they play it hot behind the green door. Don't know what they're doing, but they laugh a lot behind the green door. Wish they'd let me in so I can find out what's behind the green door.
Where many stars on the descent of their career would host the rock and roll dance show popular at the time. Having Cliff return home to a trailer behind a drive-in movie screen in the San Fernando Valley after hanging out at Leo's Lavish Pad was a beautiful metaphor for those working above and below the line in Hollywood. Great job, Quentin. Quentin also reminded me about the dislike of the hippies, even from the cool Hollywood crowd. The hippies, as I remember them, were disenfranchised, largely white kids, who just dropped out for the sake of dropping out. Many returned to college and successful careers in the 70s, dancing to disco and snorting coke while making fortunes. They're all over Marin County, and you can spot them a mile away. I won't miss a chance to see the movie in reruns because I'm drawn to Cliff Booth, which is why a sequel is coming about Cliff. I was left feeling cheated at the conclusion of the movie as Cliff is driven away in a Schaefer ambulance. Good continuity, it's the real ambulance company, but you got the uniforms wrong. And Leo standing in the driveway outside Sharon Tate's driveway gate. My thesis is one of two things was responsible for this limp ending. First, they ran out of money. Back to casting. Stars like Pacino are expensive. Second, Quentin was paying an homage to Hollywood talent, inviting them, us, to finish the script ourselves. I'd save the money on Pacino and Dern and employ a helicopter shot, taking us slowly up and away from the cul-de-sac, with twinkling lights of homes, with the subtle sounds of ice cubes falling into cocktail glasses. Prosecuting DA Vince Bugliosi spoke about in his book concerning prosecuting Manson. Our shot would move low across the sky southward, with the Hollywood Hills coming into view. As we cross, the Hollywood sign comes into view. We pull in close and tight, and the sign and letters flicker out, leaving us with "How odd" or "Holy odd." Roll credits. I suspect you had financial pressures, Quentin, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. There's no doubt in my mind you'd knowingly leave an opportunity at the conclusion of the film unfinished. Besides, you're a fellow film historian, and I'd like to sit in a beat-up 24-hour coffee shop and talk film into the wee hours of the mornings like I did in film school outside Westwood with you. To everyone with eyes toward Hollywood, in front of or behind the camera, unless you're wealthy and your father buys you a studio, it's ruthlessly tough to break into this business and make a career out of it, including TV, which was DiCaprio's Rick Dalton's fate.
Hi, this is Rick Dalton, better known as bounty hunter Jake Cahill, speaking on behalf of Red Apple Cigarettes. Now, I smoke Red Apples, been smoking them for years, but since the Red Apple Tobacco Company's been around since 1862, you'll see Jake Cahill smoke Red Apple too. Now, back in Jake's day, Red Apple came in a pouch and he had to roll his own. But today, Red Apple comes factory rolled for the best drag with the best tobacco flavor with less burn on your throat than any other non-filter cigarette. All right, this cigarette tastes. And by the way, who chose this photo? All right, I have a double chin. All right, nobody notices that crap.
If you really want it, I say follow your heart. Don't give up. Take any job and stay in touch with tech, because the Hollywood studio and distribution system, my generation, and those before me, is joining the dinosaurs. Until I see you next time, please leave behind a soft footprint, and class is dismissed.
So just as the movie is titled Once Upon a Time, implying a fairy tale, that supposition is affirmed by the ending, in which they all live happily ever after. Although we all know they all did anything but. You've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast with Jonathan Farini. Be sure to check out Jonathan's collection of fiction at jonathanfarini.com. Also, look for Jonathan's short story, The Bel Air Inside the Bog, in which a retired English teacher learns of a rumor about 2 missing students and seeks to solve the 50-year-old puzzle. Already published in the most recent edition of Egophobia magazine, it's been published again in the most recent edition of Mobius, the Journal for Social Change. You'll find it at mobiusmagazine.com and at jonathanfarini.com, or drop an email to razorsincpodcast@gmail.com.